Linkorange is able to cut the Super Scudge, which I do believe he will, then he will also be the #1 ginger player on the leaderboard. I know that's a desirable title.
Yeah, absolutely. So very high stakes match here. You know, blood, sweat, and tears, no mercy. You know, maybe some fence dash, time and space will alter. Hard to say.
Yeah. Wulfy, I think, has a lot more experience in randomizer. You probably know more about that though than I do.
Yeah, he's definitely a very competent randomizer player. Just a solid all-around player, very clean. You know, I don't see anything too like crazy from him as a player. Just very solid. You know, very clean.
Yeah, just a couple minutes separate these two by PB time. So if everything goes relatively smooth for both players, we will expect Linkorange to be the favorite here, but certainly not a free win for him by any means.
No, most certainly.
All right, coming out of Link's house, Wulfy did bump the corner of the door that might set him behind by a couple frames from the start.
No longer world record pace, but it's okay. We forgive him.
Yeah, we'll make these videos synced up here, the timers. First segment of the game, escape. I'm sure you've heard it referred to as that, even though technically it's more of a rescue than an escape.
Well, maybe you're just escaping, you know, the house.
That's true. Maybe you had some chores to do. You're escaping that responsibility.
Yeah, the shackles of our bed was constraining us to be at home too much. We slowly became introverts, but here we realized that, you know, the time has come for us to go out on an adventure and get the girl. So, escaping and conducting a rescue. That's
right. I'm wondering if anybody is sick of hearing pumping explanations by now, or if maybe we should repeat that one more time. What do you think?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but I do know that some people really enjoy, you know, the wall pumping, stair pumping, air pumping, water pumping, earth, fire pumping, all that stuff. But
all this.
I'll leave it to your judgment call.
Well, good kill there from both these guys. That quick call to pick up that key from the map guard. They're not going to pick up the map because they know exactly where to go. Yeah, think about pumping. I can give a little bit of details. It's a little abuse of the movement mechanic, which allows you to get a single pixel boost once in a while by mashing the D-pad. The normal movement speed is 3 pixels every 2 frames, so a single pixel boost has a theoretical benefit of about 2/3 of 1 frame, and each pump is about a 50% chance of success. So every physical act of pumping has about a theoretical benefit of 1/3 of 1 frame. And since we approximate that you can save up to or more than 10 seconds with pumping, that accounts for 1,800 inputs, and some players are doing even more than that. So pumping accounts probably for greater than 2,000 inputs throughout the whole run, and is almost completely invisible while it's happening. In different movement terrain, however, the benefit can be greater. In water, for example, there's a 3 in 4 chance of a successful pump for a benefit of 4/5 of 1 frame. And on stairs, a single successful pump can actually save greater than 1 single frame.
Yeah, so lots of theoretical physics going on here.
That's right. Both players doing the 8/slash to kill the ball in chain guard. Wulfy threw his boomerang. It's just hovering in midair there for a while. 1 heart of damage from Linkorange on the approach. The approach is, in my opinion, the hardest part of the ball and chain guard. It's the most likely time to get hit. But once you get close to him and start slashing him, it's usually pretty easy to stay in a safe position and finish it up.
Yeah, just have to make sure that you time your slashes properly and you don't clank him and have a really bad time. But yeah, I personally really like Escape. Obviously it gets really old, you know, you do a lot, and you know, there's just a lot of little minor movements, so it can stress on that sense. But I do like that it kind of gets your mind into the run. You know, it's not anything too crazy, just a lot of little clean movements, and it's really, you know, just the start of you know, the ensuing craziness.
Yeah, it's a great place to warm up your hands for sure, and not have to do too much absolutely precise stuff. I do like that the second half of Escape includes a lot of rooms with a lot of randomization that you have to react to. Most of it is very manageable. You can mitigate the time loss from bad RNG very much with good reaction, which I think is really one of the most important skills in this entire speed run. Notice it very much in the end of Escape here, and also Swamp Palace is probably the dungeon that exemplifies that the most.
Yeah, definitely. And, yeah, a large skill is that, you know, the more you play the game, the more you recognize all the little situations. And the sign of a really strong player is they can enter the room and they'll know all the 4 or 16 or whichever patterns of enemies, and then they'll be able to make educated decisions on what they will opt to do in that room at the time.
Yeah, a lot of the patterns in rooms do have kind of a finite amount of situations. Some are very, I mean, some it's like 2, some it's 4, some it's 16, but some it's like hundreds. Snake room, for example, has quite a lot of potential patterns. Ooh, man. Ooh, Wulfy got knocked around a little. Threw the boomerang 3 times and still got knocked around. Linkorange got a better pattern to squeeze through there.
I really like how they activate the bat there. You can conjure the bat early to be out of your way. There are a few other ways you can move through that instance, but that seems to be a more common one.
That's right. Coming up on what can be the most consequential RNG in all of Escape, we call the key rat. This rat has 4 different patterns, but really there's only 2 main outcomes. Either you get northwest or you don't, and neither of them did, so no major time losses there.
Ooh, kind of a gross pattern there.
Yeah, wow. I guess we can call this the hellway of Escape. Let me come out of here. Sub 6 escape for both of them. That's the first major escape threshold time that players will aim for.
Yeah, about 2-second difference. And here we'll get to see if they go for the Sanctuary Heart, which I think they both will, but...
I'm not going to make any predictions like that. You know how that goes. I'll make a prediction right after we see. I believe Linkorange is going to get it, and I believe Wulfy is as well. Okay.
I don't think that's a prediction.
Linkorange is coming out with 7 rupees, and Wulfy only 1. I believe they both got a green rupee from a bush right outside of Link's house. That means that Linkorange got the blue rupee and green rupee drop in the prize pack, so his next prize pack drop is going to be blue, followed by a red. I didn't see if Wulfy got any drops, but he didn't pick any up. I'm sure he hasn't burnt the red one yet, so he still has that upcoming, probably an escape, but there's a chance, or I'm sorry, in Eastern Palace, there's a chance to get dropped in other places as well.
Yeah, definitely. These beginning areas can be a real big pain, and kind of to go along with movement mentioned earlier. You know, it's very important. You know, while pumping can be beneficial, anti-pumping can be detrimental. So even just going into screen transitions and the little things, they're really trying to make sure that their movement does not hinder them in any sense. So even go through that screen transition after the green guard, they're making sure to hold forward, and then they can hold diagonal to try and avoid a potential anti-pump.
That's right. There's a few cute ways you can do that. There's things called chest turns and chest slides, and if you change your input after opening up the chest, then you can actually chain 2 pixel movements together and get an automatic pump, which is a real single pixel gain, unlike a chest turn, which is an imaginary pixel or frame gain.
Well, I mean, you have to fit the chess game into the speedrun somehow. Everyone loves that game, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, Linkorange is coming into the Phantom Stalfos room. I'm going to try to kill 2 of these guys while they're still invisible by triggering them just right. It's a good start. Oh, we're going for the magic pickup. Missed the boomerang, though. Wulfy threw his first pot up, so he will get 3 spawns, but the magic dropped inside the door, so we'll get it automatically. It's going to save him 16 frames in the magic refill later. A little consolation prize for messing up the room. Linkorange picking up the optional arrow pot here, and looks like Wulfy's heading towards it as well. That means they do not have to worry about not having enough arrows for Armos if drops are not in their favor.
Yeah, a pretty interesting movement by Wulfy there to make sure that he gets the diagonal into Sterling really cleanly.
Yeah, I do like that kind of thing. You may get an additional single anti-pump, but avoiding I think he got that heart when he had full hearts. But avoiding any corner bashing on the stairs is even better. So Linkorange now has gotten his red drop, so 32 rupees is very comfortable. Wulfy, I think, only got the blue and the green, so he still has the blue and the red coming up. A big key trick from Linkorange there.
his damage boost towards the chest.
Another rupee drop for him. No need to pick that up. If you're low and you get a drop in that situation, there's really no shame in throwing the boomerang to pick it up if you do need it, but he does not need it.
He's pretty healthy in terms of rupee count.
First big chest item is going to be the bow, a very powerful weapon, very versatile. Good against a lot of enemies and several boss fights. Well, they're not going to be using it in several boss fights, but it's not an impractical weapon maybe in a casual playthrough. Oh, Linkorange had a little trouble here. It can be really scary. These Igors can do full-hearted damage, get knocked around a little bit. And more importantly, though, they can go back to sleep and take a lot longer to kill.
Yeah, definitely. Even though it's really early in the run, there is still a lot of potential for disaster. And yeah, the bow, the entire bow, the bow in the game, very powerful and has a lot to do with the routing of it. So kind of a really fun item to get going on.
A couple whiffs in the Zelda gamer room from both players there. And Wulfy triggering that red Igor early means he's going to have to wait an additional cycle to wake it back up. Oh man, another additional cycle. The Igors have 3 different timings that they can stay awake for. 50% chance to be medium and 20% chance to be short, or sorry, 25% chance for short and long. You got a short timing there. Clean, quick kill from Linkorange on Armos. Looks like he's going to have a nice one as well. As nothing crazy happens at the end. Just 1 extra arrow spent. Linkorange did waste a few more arrows in the dungeon, so he's coming out a little bit lower. Much more healthy on rupees, and Wulfy actually did see his blue and red drop in the second to last room there in Eastern Palace, so he's not going to have those ready for him later. He may start thinking about backup rupee pots around now.
And here we get probably the funnest item, or one of the funnest items in the game, the boots. And lots of little things you can do with the boots, besides just going quicker.
Yeah, including the first Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch that we're going to see in the run, the super speed glitch. Qua? Oh, I see. You're saying Twitch emotes out loud again, right?
Yeah, being a dork, you know.
Nicely executed from Linkorange, and then he canceled it. Whoops. Right as I started complimenting him. I wonder what happened. Maybe it was a muscle spasm. He accidentally pressed the A button.
Flash Toby Crackit with the mystical commentary forces changing the outcome of Linkorange's game here.
Yeah. I hope I don't have to take any actual responsibility for the outcome of this race. That's a little too much responsibility for me to handle.
Well, that's a very nice movement cancel there. Yeah, maximizing your movement is really important. Making sure you can, dash for as long as possible, making use of the 4 pixels per frame. And so, you can lose a lot of time even just canceling your dash early.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, maximizing dash distance is important because there's a very flat and consistent amount of time that it takes to charge the dash. So the amount of time spent in the increased movement has to be maximized to compensate for that. So typically we say, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So in a lot of places they're going to be walking in diagonals instead of at right angles because it's more efficient. However, with dashing, you do want to minimize walking time and maximize dashing time. So right angles are preferable in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to go over, the time it takes to charge out the dash is 30 frames, correct?
Yes, 30 frames. You might think it's 32 because that's a base 2 number in a lot of computer science, especially code, and Link to the Past specifically uses those base 2 numbers. But for some reason, this one is exactly 30.
Just a Link to the Past things. Linkorange getting a very nice lineup there for the practice. I think that was perfect.
I believe it was. All right. This tablet says you can make a wish and have it come true. Instead of just wishing for the Triforce, we just decide to spin around these obstacles. I think wishing for it would be a bit of an anticlimactic ending for the quest.
Not unlike the 80% category.
Not at all. Yeah,
both runners in desert here. Basically, your boots tutorial get a lot of fun movement with it, and a lot of fun tech with it too. Like the thing Wulfy's doing here, timing with the poke to dash through. It's a pretty, I would say, peaceful, fun dungeon. Got a lot of arrows, but then it comes with a very arduous boss fight at the very end. But
yeah, very, very potentially tedious boss. Highly randomized. It's the most, well, one of the most random things you'll see in an NMG run. If you're used to randomizer, though.
I was gonna say, I expect Wulfy to completely body Lamola, maybe the fabled one cycle, but.
Oh yeah. One of these days we may see that in real time. Yeah, there's not a lot of RNG throughout this whole dungeon. It really is a great dashing tutorial. Great time to warm up your hands for dashing after spending 2 full dungeons pumping.
It'll definitely keep you honest too if you're not properly reacting to your dash cancels.
That's right.
You can kind of get a little window into the player's comfort zone when watching them move through this dungeon.
Yeah, seeing how early they stop dashes before bonking, or if they do potentially bonk from trying to stop a dash too late.
Yeah, even for the upcoming trick here, not everyone goes for it, but you can get spin speed coming out where Linkorange is here to get to Lamola. Small little frame saver, but even this sort of thing is another test of comfort, and Link showing that indeed he is comfortable going for it.
Yeah, no fear from him there. We did see Wulfy pick up a backup 5 rupee pot, which is a good thing. That's 7. He's still a little lower than he wants to be. 14 being the absolute minimum that you want to have. And he's not going for the super speed himself. Can't really blame him for that.
Yeah, definitely. If you're not comfortable, takes too long to set up, or you have the risk of falling, especially in tournament. This isn't necessarily about getting a PB, it'd be nice, but you are trying to beat your opponent. Your opponent is your friend, but you must crush them.
Absolutely. And 20 more rupees for Linkorange there, putting him at 50 beats.
That means he can skip 3 pulls.
Yeah, you can skip 2 of the red rupees from the second tree. Pretty soon you won't have to get any rupees.
It's real nice of Wulfy to advance the prize pack so that Linkorange gets all the drops.
Yeah. Alright, they're both going to be coming into Lamola's very soon. They're going to try to use the arrows as much as they can on this fight because they can hit him more rapidly with the arrows than with the sword, and it does twice as much damage. Lamola takes 4 arrows to kill, or 8 slashes with the sword.
So far, a really good fight, though.
Yeah, good reaction.
Really minor.
Oh man, very aggressive. He's staying very, very close to these worms so they can chain a lot of hits on him. Not timing that last hit there is unfortunately going to cost him at least 1 additional cycle.
Yeah, that was a beautiful fight. Otherwise, though, like even the first thing, he did slash and miss an arrow, but otherwise, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Wulfy having a good cleanup here now too.
Yeah, for sure. Acceptable fights for both of them.
Both?
I'm not good at counting, but probably.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Theoretical physicist. Sure.
No cactus dash. I know you're disappointed.
I mean, those, what, 5-10 frames? They matter.
Well, maybe. We actually saw 2 out of the 3 common desert exits from the 2 players there. Neither of the ones were the ones that Gazelle's Shaft was hoping to see. Now, fake flippers for Linkorange. Nice and easy setup because the geometry of this screen just happens to be lined up perfectly for this specific setup.
Yeah, I think that good Buzz Blob RNG too.
Yeah. Yeah, that Buzz Blob can be a big problem. At 11 arrows, it's really not too consequential to have to expend 1 arrow to get that Buzz Blob out of your way, to get through that screen a little faster. If that's what the RNG demands.
Yeah, I heard something about every time you have an arrow save, well, you can have, on average, save about, what, 10 to 16 frames or something?
We used to have, like, a number we threw around. We said the theoretical time save or loss of a single arrow is 13 frames. So if using it saves you less than that, then it's probably not worth it. But there's a lot more details to it than just that. There's a lot of thresholds. There's ways you can maybe save 1 here or there or use 1 extra to save a little time based on how many you have. It's a very complex arrow route, and it's tough tough to learn, really, and really tough to think about in the moment during a run.
Yeah, definitely. Should be noted that text and menuing very important in this game. You can lose a substantial amount of time if you do either properly. When you are not in the overworld, when you're in a cave or a house, you can actually use the X button, which would normally bring out the map, to help advance text. And the final text box of anything can be cancelled with the shoulder buttons. So in the Old Man Cave there, you saw that they're trying to not hit the A button or any other button that would cause them to use an item or begin a dash. But on the overworld, you have to change it. So even just menuing and text advancing, there is a little bit of a science to it. You'll often see the players use their menu in order to facilitate a certain type of buffer or to assist in maybe a particular trick that they're not as comfortable with.
Yeah. Oh, that Kadongo got a little nervous, fired only one fireball, but then stopped. Don't see that too often. We're going to see Linkorange try a boomerang dash here in this room. He's setting himself up for it, it looks like. He'll try to hit that switch and get himself a little peace and quiet on those pegs on the other side.
Yeah, you have to be careful because it's only that you can't necessarily do your dash on every tile because the tiles can get in your way. So there are some choice windows that runners will look for, but you did get it. So you can take a break, read chat, post memes, check Twitter, all that fun stuff.
Wulfy is not going for the boomerang dash himself. It is a very small time save. The comfort is practically the best part about it. Linkorange, I think, was 1 pixel misaligned with that door there, so he might have lost 1 frame on that dash. I always say you have so much time to set up that positioning pixel perfect, while you're waiting for those tiles to finish. There's no reason to ever corner bash on that door if you're, want to memorize the pixel.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, if you miss out the boomerang dash, there is potential to hit the switch again. Kind of the in-game time in a sense freezes, not literally, but effectively. And so you just lose hard time for every additional press switch.
Yeah, the only real way to lose time there is by hitting the switch additional times, or taking damage. That actually can be problematic as well. Link's going to hit that switch at 5 hearts. He is definitely going to be playing a little bit safe. It is a race, so there's no real shame in that.
Pretty interesting decision because at this point you consider yourself to be very healthy, and wow, that was quite the bomb jump lineup.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to bonk at all there at that pixel.
No, that was basically like, okay, I'm gonna get the perfect bomb jump and then do this, kind of almost for show, but
maybe. And a good bomb jump too. Oh, but Linkorange falling at the bumper skip there. It's about a 10-second or so time loss. Oh, more if he gets blocked by this Kadongo. That's gonna even him back up.
Yeah, and it's good that he's cognizant of the fact that he can clip into that railing a little bit there to get around the fireball, and he does pick up a heart here. So pretty interesting, just to not only have that down, but to go for the extra heart there.
Yeah, for sure. Wulfy will not have the option to pick up any extra hearts if he does have a bad mold on he falls or something. We're hoping that's not going to happen though. Doing some dashes. I don't really approve too much of dashing. He was aware of that positioning there. If Moldorm bounces off of that hole in the middle, his tail's always going to be where his head just was. So he walked towards where his head just was and was a spin. Get a basically free and safe hit. A little bit faster fight for Linkorange, I think. But they're pretty similar overall. Link did gain a couple seconds because Wulfy had to take a couple seconds extra to set up the bumper skip, which Linkorange did not have any trouble with the second time around.
Yeah, and this dead rock just not fun.
Oh no.
It's kind of interesting. Of course, your magic and health refill at the end of a fight. So in Eastern, getting that small magic potion earlier, again, would save the aforementioned 16 frames in the refill. Linkorange could have filled up his health to full, but he was already down a little bit in magic. So getting the extra heart there, I think, would have just been pure time cost.
Yeah, in that regard, would have been. Alright, so now Linkorange coming up on the rupee route. He's probably glancing at his rupees to decide how much he needs to pick up, wondering if he should pull the trees at all. He still does want to get 2 blue rupees from the first tree. Wulfy might pick up all 4 of them. Yeah, that's what he's going to have to do. At this point, they need to get 4 kills without taking any damage. Usually, this is the most likely place to take damage during this segment, so Linkorange already being down a couple hearts is pretty uncommon. A lot of the time when I'm tuning into a run, this part of the game, I'll check their hearts to know if they got hit in the rupee route or not. Is that? Oh no, I thought he got another rupee drop. That would have been crazy.
No, he stops there because he didn't get the buzz block to get the extra bird there. So
yeah,
more or less back on track here. But...
yeah. So the two main problems with taking damage on this segment are one that, of course, it could mess up the rupee route, but also going into Aghanim's tower without full hearts when you can't use sword beam strats, which will require him to use a few extra arrows, probably, or to do very safe and a few seconds slower variations in at least one room.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of the rupee route here, looks like Wulfy will be completely fine. There are 6 rupees that you get naturally in the tower, and a few backup that you can also go for. So with the 80 from the red, or the red pull here, it should be more than fine.
Yep. Linkorange just lost his arrow drop from the variety prize pack. That's not something you really rely on, but it can be a nice thing to happen to run into sometimes.
So both players skipping the mushroom here. I know Wulfy has been grabbing the mushroom just as a tournament safety, but it looks like you know, even that little bit, the extra menuing and the little bit of time to get it, it's too much for here. Hopefully he feels confident enough. I'm sure he does. And yeah, here we go.
All right, if Linkorange gets hit with Kiki, he'll still have enough rupees to bring him back. If that happens twice, he will still have enough rupees to bring him back. We're going to hope that it doesn't happen for his sake, but actually, if Linkorange is a little bit ahead after Aghanim, maybe we'll hope that he gets hit once, just to even the fight up, or even the race up for the viewers.
I'll just say Agha Tower is probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Not only casually, where you hear the epic music and at the very beginning, you know, you're kind of a little bit confused starting out Rescue Zelda. But now you just got the Master Sword, you got all this tech, you are ready, you are here to bring it to the boss. And there is a lot of rooms and a lot of tech to go through too.
Yeah. Oh wow, nice backup from Linkorange there. Not having sword beams, it can be very difficult to kill these guards with a dash to manipulate the prize packs, but he was able to do a very well designed backup there.
It's a very fun one to know. Again, like you're mentioning, you know, your heart count matters and your arrow count matters too. Depending on what you have, it directly changes all the strategies you do in the tower. So lots of patterns and lots of things to consider. So a very, very dynamic dungeon.
Yeah, for sure. Linkorange also did save some arrows and mentioned that he may have to do that, or he may have to waste some or do a slower strat to save some because he didn't have sword beams in the second room. He did choose to do the safe strat and save the arrows.
Both again, the same soldier RNG.
So Wulfy just lost his beams. There are a couple places where they can be a little bit beneficial even after this point. Don't be able to take advantage of that. This room Linkorange is coming into, the sword beams can be used to get these guards' attention instead of the boomerang. It's not like it's significantly faster to do it that way or anything, but personally I like to save the menu for the circle pots room so I can judge the RNG and pick my strat a little more freely.
Yeah, unfortunately the one red guard starting up his movement a little bit later there for Wulfy, so it kind of threw him off for trying to time the spin, but again, runner is still very close, just screens apart.
Yeah.
And we have our glorified cutscene coming up, which could change things dramatically.
Yeah, we could talk about some Aghanim math if you want to get into that again, some more numbers.
After the pumping explanation, yes please?
Well, when you're in this fight, you can't really do much. There's not much interesting to do, so sometimes you start to notice trends or patterns. If you're just a statistically inclined person, you may do some math too. There's a couple things you can kind of infer as the fight goes on. For every coin flip you win, the maximum amount of blue balls that you can get is reduced by 4 from 15. So after you win your first coin flip, you know the maximum you get is 11, then the second one is 7, and so on. After you win 3, you know the most you can get is 3 total. For every guaranteed, or every amount of blue balls with a guaranteed shot after a lightning cycle is going to end the fight, which is every 4th minus 1. Those ones are statistically more likely than the previous number. So 7 is more common than 6, and 11 is more common than 10. And they're also significantly more likely than the following number. So the difference between 7 to 8 statistically is a huge leap in probability. what else involves numbers? The lightning does 2 hearts of damage, so if you're screwing around in this fight and you walk into that, it can actually kill you if you're not paying attention. 2 is a number, so that's worth mentioning. Have you been counting how many blue balls these players have been getting?
No, I've been taking notes.
Okay. Alright, well, if Linkorange gets the kill now, then he got 3, as we learned earlier. And, so I guess it's 3. Well, it's 3 or 7. Or 11 or 15. But I don't think it was 11 or 15. I don't think it was 7 either. So if Wulfy gets the kill here, it's also 3 or 7 or 11 or 15. Looks like it's more, though. More than 3. Or 7 or 11 or 15.
Yeah, they're getting a little bit extra unlucky here.
Yeah, okay, so now what we're hoping for, as we I think agreed on earlier, is Linkorange losing Kiki 2 or 3 times to even this back up. Wow, I think that puts it at 7, doesn't it? Lost 3 coin flips in a row.
Yeah,
What's the next hit is a kill.
So I guess I should ask real quick. Obviously there's lightning and blue balls, but what do people tend to call the normal orbs, like yellow orbs? Or
you know, I've heard them referred to as like yellow balls or something, but I don't even think they're yellow, so I don't know where that name comes from. I just usually refer to them as reflectable attacks, just as kind of a intuitive term, I think, that people will understand what it refers to, even if it's not a standardized term.
I think they oscillate between yellow and blue. And so you take away the blue, and I guess that's where you get the yellow, but...
Maybe. Alright, the Kiki text is my favorite because you have to mash through it 3 different ways. Oh, and he got bad RNG. Oh, but he handled it well. That was actually really good. Yeah, that was a really good reaction there. I'm only pretending to be upset that he handled it well. I'm actually impressed.
But yeah, it's true. The first menu, you can pretty much mash it like anything else, and the second menu has a selectable option, and I think there's like a 1 frame gap which you can do an input. So you want to be really careful and pretty much only like hit the A button. And then the last menu, it follows the rule like everything else, where you can close at the shoulder. But yeah, it's 3 different ways to do it.
Yep. Nice and dynamic. Alright, the players in the Dark World now. The first Dark World dungeon that they have to do first is the Palace of Darkness. It's also the first one in the intended route, as we say, because the dungeons are actually numbered on the map in the Dark World, so we can actually clearly declare an intended route in this game. Even though there's a lot of freedom and a lot of openness to potential routing, as we'll see after they get out of this dungeon and start doing them out of order.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, Palace of Darkness here, first real introduction to strong mirror and bomb routing here.
Yeah.
And here I kind of give a little taste of it, and of course Eastern Palace was, you know, first little taste of danger, but here, this is where everything really ramps up.
Yeah, inside of the dungeon, there aren't actually too many very dangerous enemies. Did I say inside the dungeon? That's what I meant to say. And outside the dungeon, however, there are a lot of very dangerous enemies. You're first introduced to snapdragons, which can take 3 hearts out of your health bar in 1 hit. Everything inside this dungeon, I think, only does a maximum of 1 heart of damage, except for Helmasaur himself, which does 2. This is still a very scary dungeon because there's a lot of places that you can take. Oh, and mimics. Mimics do 2 hearts of damage. There's an intentional damage taken here, and the bomb jump to Linkorange is coming into. Whenever you have to take intentional damage, then hearts become a little more valuable, I'd say.
It's actually a very fascinating dungeon in how it's laid out, because even after you take this additional damage, there are some health heart refills coming up that also facilitate for some speed tech menu saving, so just almost very convenient, and even the extra buffer helps you in case you did have some error earlier.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it looks like both players have gotten through so far with no unintentional heart losses. There's still plenty of chances for that, though.
So get excited. Ooh, that was really good. Being extra safe, slashing the hard hat, and get a free little push towards the door.
Yeah, ACM style. Wulfy has a successful bomb jump as well. No major catastrophes there. Mimics for Linkorange looking good too. Got a 5 arrow drop in his path. That's always a nice thing to get. Now, if you have epilepsy, don't look at Linkorange's screen right now.
Yep, bad things still happen. And if the screen looks fine, then maybe you had a little bit too much to drink.
Maybe. In which case, don't look at Wulfy's screen, because it might look a little off. Alright, Wulfy's going to be making his way into the Mimic's room, while Linkorange is going to try to take care of these turtles here, these terror things.
Very,
oh, and the 10
very
drop.
fun enemy. Very fun enemy name for a fairly fun room. And, it's always nice to pull off that strategy. Ooh, and it looked like he went for the key dash.
I think he was 1 pixel too low starting the dash. There's no setup for that, but if you're able to identify a visual cue while the dash is charging, you can be sure whether or not you're on the pixel to get the key dash. Of course, you have to be a multiple 4 pixels away from the door. I'm sure you've heard that explained many times in this tournament so far. Linkorange not using his sword for a little extra safety in the first phase of Helm's sword. Getting it twice, get charged again. He slashes now, but with a fireball.
Oh my goodness. That was
bad luck at the end. Barely got that kill in time. Oh, and look at all those rupee drops from Wulfy. Turtle room.
Yeah, and of course, Linkorange posting in chat that he's not concerned whatsoever. Calculated and definitely not within an inch of his life whatsoever.
I think, as we said before, sometimes there's certain patterns that people are completely aware of and completely planned for, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the patterns that Linkorange was absolutely ready for. Got hit twice on purpose, just to set up the positioning that he wanted to be in. Wulfy's going to use the sword in the first phase. Going for hammers in the second phase. Ooh, good timing there. Helm's sword happened to be stationary at the beginning of the second phase, so he was able to get those hammers in well.
Of course, Link does have the plot armor, considering that he is the hero. Not to be confused with Zelda.
That's right. Ooh, we got a Palace of Darkness. These Ropas can give you a few funky jumps. Some people believe there's no real way to handle some of these patterns. It can just be unlucky enough that you get hit, and I do agree with that. That there's no real good way to mitigate that. You could, not try to dash through them and stop and slash your sword and then charge a spin and then kill them, or shoot arrows at them or whatever, but those aren't really good ways to handle those situations.
Yeah. I did see Linkorange kind of do a little bit of a movement thing where he lined with the arrow, so that the Southern Ropa would not be an issue.
Really? That's an interesting bit of tech. Where'd you learn that?
Not sure. I heard there's a fabled individual known as Professor. Definitely can learn a fair bit from him.
Yeah, that's something I like to do. It's actually what Wulfy is not doing here. I like to dash aligned with that arrow because you are moving faster and you're able to get a farther distance by the time the Ropa's movement activates. And I think if you mess up your movement a little bit, it's actually possible you could jump up on you while you're charging that last dash there. Just a way to be a little more certain that you're going to be safe.
Yeah, definitely. Do you see Linkorange with the flute? I looked away, did not see if he got the quick warp, but Wulfy quickly coming up here and get his shovel and hopefully the quick warp.
Yeah, there's no easy setup for this quick warp. You have to just kind of line it up manually and either have a good visual cue, or if you don't want to try to line it up at all, there is a 1 in 4 chance that you're just going to get it completely by accident.
Well, that's pretty interesting. And he did get the quick warp too.
He did get it. It's going to save him half a second.
What that voodoo magic he did there, but I'm going to have to look at that later.
After the first dungeon in the Dark World, they're going to be going to intended dungeon number 4. called Thieves' Town, or Gargoyle's Domain, as it's sometimes referred. Ooh, Wulfy with a very close call with Usain Bolt there. There's a way you can move there to be sure to pull the red soldier down a little bit farther to give you a little more of a window to get past him. But not all players will do that.
Oh, this is a very good entrance pull.
Yeah, this game is so optimized. Pulling the entrance to Thieves' Town actually has optimizations to it. Thieves' Town is, in my opinion, a very consistent dungeon with the notable exception of the Hellway, which can be highly variable.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree.
Ooh. I want to walk into that spark a couple times.
It looked like you tried to avoid Zazek, so you went to the right, but then Spark is right there.
Yeah, that's actually the place where I would use the menu buffer to the bomb. There's a lot of common places to do that. As you mentioned earlier, people do like to use their menu as a way to sort of freeze the game time a little bit, sometimes judge RNG patterns, or maybe check their exact pixel position to see if they need to make adjustments. Gives you a little extra time to think. Here, Linkorange is coming to the Hellways a pixel off. Just going to improvise and get through pretty well.
Yeah, in the previous stream, he had really good RNG, but in the hallway, the Gibbo was unfortunately in the center. So even if he had gotten the center pixel, he would have had to adjust.
Yeah. Little consolation when you mess up is that when doing it correctly wouldn't have even worked anyway.
But you can just, so it was all part of the plan, and if nothing else, it makes it kind of feel a little bit better. If you were going for it to begin with.
Right.
We won't assume motive here.
Yeah, there are.
It's like the homicide. This is all part of the plan.
Right. Yeah, at the first Gibbo, you can look at him, and with some movements, you're not even going to want to try to go for the god pixel. If you're paying close enough attention. Wulfy's going to have his try now. Pretty similar overall to how Linkorange just went.
That was definitely smooth hellway. If you don't get hit, it's probably a pretty good hellway.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, don't want to bonk on these doors. Other than the time loss, getting knocked into one of these Zaziks would be a 2-heart loss.
Thankfully, there are two hearts in that room, but obviously you don't want to spend the time to go get them. Thankfully, blind being a scripted fight, again, just, with the exception of a room or two here, not unlike this bar room, pretty consistent dungeon, and the boss turning on a scare to means you don't have to worry too much about health, but you still don't want to take it necessarily.
Yeah, I like to have a few hearts at a minimum, just for a little extra confidence going into blind. But if you're very confident, even ooh, wow, that is a super rare bad pattern from the Linkorange just got there. To get hit in that room. I don't know if I've seen somebody get hit in that way in that room before.
Live here at Speed Gaming 3, all the patterns in the RNG.
All of them.
You folks at home, you're having a real treat here.
Oh yeah. Good first 2 phases for Linkorange on blind. Third phase, yeah, it's going to be quite good as well. Hard situation not coming into play at all. In fact, some people don't like to have sword beams on blind, so it's possible that he took some damage on purpose to make that fight a little more comfortable.
Yeah, based on what we've seen from him so far, it wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Very healthy hero.
See Wulfy approaching.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, 19 arrows in Thieves is a nice count. I think he got a bomb drop, and he might have picked up the bomb from the pot, because 8 is quite a lot to have at this point. Good first 2 phases from Wulfy. First 2 phases go well. Usually the third phase can go a little bit off script and still be fine, but no, a very clean kill all around it.
Yeah, definitely. the beam and the beam can do 1 heart damage, and the head can do 2. So coming in with a minimum of 3 is pretty good little safety net. And then no matter what you take, you know, you'll be okay. More hearts the better. Yeah. But both came through very simply.
Yeah. So Wulfy appears to have a couple extra bombs. Linkorange, being very attentive of his bomb count, did not need to pick up an extra in Thieves Town, but he did waste one opening up that bomb shack. So he's going to be hoping for either a lucky bomb drop from the variety prize pack, or he's going to have to pick up an extra somewhere else.
Thankfully, there are a lot of backups, but yeah, just even a little bit of bomb ruby and air routing, very prevalent all the way through. And here we get our tempered sword from the breadsmith.
Yep.
It's always nice when you know, the faster option is to get the option that makes you stronger.
Yeah, I like it when the easier option and the faster option are the same option. Which is the case in getting this tempered sword. It is not just a safety item, it is definitely faster. At least that's what our ancestors determined, and we don't question them. Of course, I still think there's a chance that skipping the tempered sword and getting just the silver arrows from the Pyramid Fairy and getting really good at Master Sword boss fights might potentially be faster. But I'm not willing to actually test that, because I'm not willing to try to get good at Master Sword boss fights. And there's the fence dash from Linkorange.
Yeah, Pog Tempo.
Pog Tempo, indeed.
Yeah, it's true. I also heard there might be some Samaria funny business in facilitating your master sword plan here, but
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, there's I think it's a Yuzu strategy where you can place a Samaria block down and get a rebound with master sword to actually get like a very fast phase one. But
oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. That wasn't part of my my plan, but yeah, no, there are potentially a lot of optimizations that can be found with the Master Sword if we just sit around and wait for Yuzuhara to figure them out, which is often what we do. Linkorange's going left side in that big key room. Potentially can be a little bit faster, or theoretically. What's your opinion on that?
My opinion is, you know, if you're feeling it, go for it. But in the end, it's a little bit more negligible between leg frames and the fact that you have to react to the RNG and hope it's favorable and a bunch of other little variables. Right is certainly more consistent, but yeah, if you're feeling good, then it's definitely an option.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's been debate about which way is better to go. Let's see which way Wulfy goes. Maybe we'll get to see both sides. Actually, when the the right of the door, that's one of the few times when I say going left is actually not only potentially faster, but also safer.
Dashing out of the door there. I personally like that just because then you don't have to worry about you know, the Ropa there, and feels about the same.
Feels about the same. Well, in that case, it must be the same. Ooh, torch room here. Linkorange almost got grabbed by that hand. If he actually got grabbed just as the dash started, it's possible he could have got a screen scroll glitch. Pretty cool to see, but obviously not a good thing to actually happen in the run, because your game pretty much locks up. You have to wait until something else happens in the game to knock you out of the glitch state before you can actually continue.
But thankfully, very healthy entry in the market.
Oh yeah, good pattern there.
Really good
dash. Yeah, he almost messed it up a little bit, but the RNG was favorable, and with a successful double hit, that does make the conclusion a lot easier.
So hopefully, let's see, similar type of bodying from him here of the Mothulas.
Yeah, seeing Wulfy do a little bit safer of a torch room strat here. Plenty of magic to kill some of those mummies if you feel the need to. and still be able to light all the torches.
Gibdo getting a taste of that delicious class 4 damage spike trap right there. And unfortunately, Mothula does not get the same taste of that because it is immune to that damage.
Wow, really good pattern for Wulfy there as well. He did mess up one of the hits. When Mothula flies to the side of the screen, you want to try to get outside of him if you can, because that way you're hitting him towards the center instead of hitting him outward into the spikes. But when he stays low throughout most of the fight, that gives you a lot of options and a lot of ability to really kill him fast and quick.
Kill him good.
Indeed. Don't think Linkorange got the quick warp there. I could wait until after the warp happens to make that prediction.
I don't think it's prediction.
I don't know. Ooh, getting that stall there under that bush. Those skulls under the bush, there's a good chance you're going to get one somewhere, so I'd rather get it anywhere other than during the Skullwood segment.
And he wins the lottery too.
Oh yeah.
Getting through that rope. It's very
nice. He's making his way to quick flippers.
Side skill pickup.
Yeah, that's a little tough to do.
A lot of slickness coming out here.
Yeah.
So Linkorange bonking against the wall. Contrary to maybe some popular opinion, it's not just for swag. You actually set up the quick warp by bonking into the wall right there in tandem with the catfish cutscene. Yeah,
you're not the only person who thought that was just for swag. I've definitely seen a few other players who've done that. You do want to walk into this Zora's Domain area instead of dashing. It's a small time save that you gain control of Link a little sooner. Interestingly about the bonk there, is that the camera can actually be affected by cutscenes and by menuing and things. So if you're dashing and you open up the menu or a text box starts, it actually changes the alignment of the camera. So you actually have to make sure that that bonk is done and you're at least in midair before the text box pops up. If you're in the process of dashing when the text box pops up, it will not work as a setup for the quick warp.
Just gonna call me out like that, huh? I see how it is, Toby.
Yes, indeed, Joanne.
Yeah, so we got our fabled finger webs here. Not sure what they're made of, but we don't ask too many questions. We quickly and playfully leave the domain and hurry our way to a very frozen, fun place to go to.
That's right. I think the finger webs are still warm. That's why we go to Ice Palace first. Ice Palace can be a very scary dungeon. Go from dungeon 1 to 4 to 3 and then to 5. So the difficulty steps up a couple dungeons worth of damage classes. This is also where an optional armor upgrade is to be found that they will not be getting, as far as I know, which means that enemies are going to start doing a lot more damage because they're going to kind of expect you to have that. The boss fight here can do 4 hearts of damage if you take a direct hit from it, which means that a little bit of error in that fight can be extremely costly.
Yeah, definitely. It went from spoopy to scary, and nice too there. Linkorange did get a nice Bari RNG. Having full health is not as important here as it is in the upcoming Mario dungeon, but still very nice to have because you can deal with that Bari there. You know, a big thing here too is watching your magic use. So you can use your Fire Rod to help deal with summons. You kind of get like one free shot, and you do need the one shot for the freezer where Wulfy is coming up here. But did get some good RNG, did have full health, and we'll get full health again here too. So will be very good.
Yeah, there are a few extra magic pickups you can get if you use a few extras like Wulfy's doing here. He's not going to want to use any additional ones, but there will still be enough for him to fill up. As long as he's attentive of that before he gets to the end of the dungeon, because at the end there's only 2 small pickups.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate there.
Yeah, good bomb jump from Linkorange. In a good room overall. He's actually back up at full hearts. There's a damage boost you can do in the previous room. There's a heart pickup in the bomb jump room, so if you don't do the damage boost, you actually get yourself back up to full hearts. And have to be careful not to accidentally hit one of those Pangators with your sword beams. Luckily he was aware of that. Slash down to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like he cancelled Sterling and then quickly went back down. And again, just little things like that. Very good to be aware of.
Yep.
So I'm looking at Wulfy's magic. I guess he did find a magic pickup there, so he will be fine now, I believe.
Well, I think he picked up one from Pangator, but there are a couple other backups. He's going to want to pick up this one in the Stalfos Mega Room, and now he only needs 2 remaining. Linkorange doing that cool Brahmin meat strat, and you only need 1 magic pickup there at the end. Coming into the Cold Stare fights, can be a scary fight, but there are a few quick kill options available. Oh, that spin. Hopefully we'll hit a second time again and then slash to clean it up.
That's a very good fight. And some little fun movement from him there too. It's a very nice fight. Very, very good.
Oh yeah, clean and stylish.
Oh yeah.
That's
and Wulfy getting all the magic you possibly want here, so more than good. Even though he was already fine.
Yeah, he was alright. He was comfortable at least, but no, nothing wrong with picking up a little more.
Well, it would cost some time. Gosh.
Yeah. Wulfy will be making his way to Cold Stare very soon. Hopefully we'll see a similarly high quality fight from him.
Oh, we're going to. I believe.
Okay, I'm gonna wait a few seconds before making my prediction.
It's gonna be straight fire.
Oh no. Ooh, very close in the timing on that spin, but looks like he's doing the same quick in the second phase. And yeah, I'm gonna predict that this fight's gonna go well. Link's making his way to the next dungeon, the Swamp Palace, dungeon number 2 in the intended order, which marks a stark decrease in the danger level. But it is a dungeon with a huge amount of consequential RNG that experienced players will be able to mitigate as well as they can. I mean, inexperienced players will do as well as they can too, but I see them make a few more mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, Link just a pixel off there for the quick warp. Can be a little tricky to go for it, but will he get the anti-carry skip?
That is a good question. His positioning is good here. He definitely could get it. Yeah.
Ooh. And we're good.
It was important.
Threading that needle.
Pulling that switch correctly. This looks like a quick warp on the way back too.
Yeah. Yep. That was good.
I think Wulfy's gonna get this quick warp coming out of Ice Palace. Nice.
Just air horn sounding all over the board here. Quick warps all over. There you go.
Getting Ether before Swamp Palace. This is what we call the US version route because you don't have item dashes, so you don't have super speed or 1.0 glitches, which means that it's not any slower to get Ether before Swamp Palace, whereas with 1.0 glitches you can save up to less than a second with sword climbs.
Yeah, definitely. But, going here so that he doesn't have to worry about potential damages going into Mire. And we'll have sword beams to Mire too.
Yeah, the most common time to get this item in the Ice Rod is before Mire, and of course going into Mire with full hearts is important. I mean, you took 3 hearts of damage on this mountain, and that's barely going to have an impact in Swamp Palace, but going into Mire with 3 hearts down would be very scary.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's going to get the Ice Rod too, which means it's going to be about a minute 40 behind based on the route variance, which is time that Linkorange will lose relative to Wulfy later.
Yeah, so of course, it'll look like Linkorange is much further than he really is, but... Ooh. The switch can be a little bit finicky.
He's charging the dash here. He's not going to want to do that.
No, not without...
That is a real strat though. If you dash out from that switch and you throw a sword beam back at it, you can save a little time. Wulfy fluted to 5. What screen is that? I didn't even know that screen was in the game. Never seen it before.
Yeah, no. It's craziness. It's parallel worlds.
Maybe I accidentally loaded up the ROM hack. Ooh, Linkorange's getting an unlucky frame roll, getting knocked out of his dash there. That stings a little.
Yeah, but thankfully, Wulfy changed his ROM. He's now on his way to Swamp.
That's right.
It looks like he'll get the quick work. Yeah, he did.
Nice job there. Linkorange's getting his big key in Swamp Palace. He did hit the switch, so the pegs are down. I think these pegs in this dungeon are maybe one of the worst design decisions in this entire game. Because it's completely out of your control whether or not you get completely blocked there. Just completely terminates the action and forces backtracking with no real dynamics or depth to the design.
Flash, Toby Crockett, Savage, here, Speed Gaming 3. Unedited content. Real opinions, real people.
And looks like Linkorange is going to want to pick up a single bomb in Swamp Palace. Swamp Palace is a great time to stock up up to 2 bombs and up to 10 arrows from pot pickups, and potentially a couple more from the drop of either one. I think he's going to pick up both arrow pickups and only 1 bomb, I'm going to say, and Wulfy doesn't need a bomb. He really only needs 1 arrow pickup, but picking up both wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely. The restocker is definitely somewhat convenient. If you don't get the bomb within dungeon, you can get your little refill at the very end. And so, of course, in Link's case, it's getting the bomb and the arrow just makes it a really easy decision.
Yeah, both are going to be healthy when arrows coming out of here. Wulfy going to be even more healthy. Well, he might actually end up with the exact same amount, but able to skip some because of that 10 drop that he got in the Mimic Room in Palace of Darkness. Very high impact from some random things like that. And Linkorange is going to go for the 0 cycle on Argus. I'll try to get all things killed without having to slash his sword in any additional times. Got all the kills, but did he get the 0? Oh yes, he did.
And here you are making predictions.
I'm going to predict that he's going to mess up the second phase, though. It's very close to a successful second phase.
See some happy slashes from him right there, showing just how much he loves the boss fight.
I'm very excited about that kill. And this is the longest cutscene in the game.
Yeah, and so going for the 0 cycle, it's definitely nice in the fact that if you mess it up, it's somewhat inconsequential compared to just not going for that strategy. Ooh, and was it sociable firebar? The fireball hitting Wulfy there on the way down, unfortunately.
Yeah, being able to get hit while falling in holes is a Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch. It's one that we do not like, though, in the run. Linkorange's coming out of Swamp Palace. He's going to have to run his errands that Wulfy ran earlier to get the Ether Medallion and Ice Rod. He only really needs to get the Ether Medallion now, because that's all he needs to enter Misery Mire. You just need to get the Ice Rod before going to Turtle Rock. But it is very common to get both at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, he does take a hit here. So this is kind of the downside to going this route. He will not have a heart going, or he will not have Sorabeans going into Mire here. But,
not unless he goes a little out of his way to look for heart drops. It kind of defeats the point of doing the route this way to save a fraction of a second if you're going to end up having to go out of your way for heart drops, which looks like he's going to do. You get at least one. Just one.
Yeah, the Tektite just doing that extra hit there.
Yeah, sometimes you do get bad patterns from those Tektites. I don't know if it's affected by other things that you do on the screen or if it really is random, but I do believe that it is caused by the player's movement.
very common to see.
Yeah, for sure.
We get our Franklin badge, our Ether medallion here. We'll go get his ice rod too.
That's right, these crabs that he's going to face here can do 2 hearts of damage, but they also have a fairly high chance of dropping hearts. He may try to get a drop there, and he does. Nice. Hopefully not going to lose any more hearts. No, it looks like he'll be just fine. Wulfy, meanwhile, is coming into the Argus fight himself.
This is going for more of a normal fight.
Yeah, the 1 cycle.
And a binary cycle. 0 or 1.
Nice, nice computer science joke.
Well, it's like some people are like, is it really a 0 cycle? Is it 1 cycle? It's like, well, it's perspective. And I guess at the end of the day, as long as it's 0 or 1, it's probably a good fight, a good cycle, good whichever.
Yeah, probably. Alright, Linkorange is going to make his way into Mire a little bit before Wulfy is going to be making his way out of Swamp. They're about a cutscene apart at this point.
Ooh, unfortunate bonk there.
Yep. Let's have Sword Beams so we can go for a nice standard 1 cycle in these Wizrobes in the Mire Wizrobe room. Looks like he's not quite able to kill them before they phase out. Phase back in one additional time.
Yeah, but even if you don't get the 1 cycle or 0 cycle or whichever in that room, still want to have a lot of health. You do take intentional damage in this dungeon, and if you're not careful, things can really get out of hand quite quickly.
Yeah, this dungeon probably has the most intentional damage of any dungeon between regular rooms in the dungeon and the boss fight itself.
Yeah, this dungeon honestly reminds me of Town in a lot of ways. It feels, somewhat, I guess, more cozy to go through, but there are a few choice areas you gotta watch out for. And,
yeah, I say it has one of the highest potentials to be consistent, based on whether or not things are within or without your control. I think almost everything is within your control throughout the whole dungeon, and even the rooms that do have some randomization are highly manageable. Doesn't necessarily mean it's an easy dungeon, though.
No, most certainly. So we'll see if Wulfy gets his binary cycle here.
Yeah, we can just call it I don't know, the fast strat or whatever. It looks like he is able to.
Mire to straight fire.
Yeah, I could say that. Linkorange's got his big key now. Gonna be making his way to the big chest to get his Canis Maria, possibly the greatest weapon in any Zelda game.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh,
the cardinal.
Of course, the Canis Maria has some of the most interesting combat applications, though not the most practical in speedruns. I'd say some of the uses of it on boss fights are the most fun applications of it outside of speedruns. And of course, it does allow you to do a lot of major glitches, which we won't be seeing in the no major glitches run. But I do enjoy the glitches sometimes.
Fun outside speedruns?
Yeah, actually...
I heard your theoretical physics earlier and I was on board, but now I'm not too sure.
Are you implying that there's fun in speedruns?
Well, I guess maybe that's another perspective thing.
Right. We can get deep into the philosophy of fun and or speedruns. Maybe we can save that for our Zelda / philosophy podcast that we put on every 10 years on Friday. Which Friday, though? You have to figure that out on your own.
Yeah, hint, it's leap year. But,
Poor Linkorange. That door does suck you in if you press down at all, so he had no chance to react and stop exiting the room after he missed that fire rod there.
Yeah, but Link coming up to the veteran's fight here, and he's going to be deep into the viscous slime surrounding Vitreous here, because it only takes 1 damage, and you can use that to do some charge spins on the eyeballs that do much more than 1 damage. That's all you need to know. Don't get hit. I don't care. It doesn't matter how much you do. Just don't get hit.
I'm pretty sure since we're playing on the NTSC version, those spins can hit the eyeballs twice. If we're playing on the PAL version, unfortunately, those spins would only hit him once, and they have to do twice as many spins. Not quite a perfect first phase, but he did have a very safe fight. A single lightning and a good second phase to finish it up. 1 arrow short of where he would really like to be here, because at 13 you'd only need a single arrow pickup, which is basically free, in order to have enough arrows for the Ice Armor's fight. But he's going to have to pick up a backup or get an additional lucky drop. Meanwhile, Wulfy coming down into the basement has lost a lot more hearts than he wanted to. I didn't see where exactly that happened, but they get 1 heart drop from Stalfos. Unless he wants to try to get a heart in the switch room, which can be a little risky. As if he needed more. Linkorange got so much more lucky on rupee drops in the early game, but Wulfy has been getting a lot luckier on arrow drop. He's been very arrow healthy throughout this whole run.
Yeah, he will definitely have his Baker's Dozen coming out of the fight here, unless things go a little too haywire and has to use more arrows. He is down some health, so he may choose to use those arrows to help with the fight. Hopefully, you know, he'll be cognizant of his count and won't have to use too many.
Yeah, ideally you really do only take 4 hearts.
Oh, that delay there was scary. This is tense now.
Yeah, he'll just play a little safe. Maybe even use a few extra arrows just to clean this up. The lightning does do 2 hearts. He only does 1, but the eyeballs do 4. He should have no trouble. It looks like he's going to be at 12 if he uses 8 arrows here.
Well, I'll wait to make my prediction in case he shoots an extra arrow. And no, yeah, it looks like he will be at 12 here. So that is really good.
Nice job observing that prediction. Whatever.
Well, that's how it works, right? When you observe it, it changes the outcome and prediction. And
yeah, well, we did see a fence dash, so we know time is distorted a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Wulfy's going to be coming out of Mire with 1 bomb. It is common to spend your last bomb intentionally to auto-switch to the fire rod and use the fire rod on that switch. We saw Linkorange. That's when Linkorange missed the switch once. I want to know where that usually happens in case you weren't aware of that and want to rewatch it. But with that 1 bomb, he won't need to pick up 1 in Turtle Rock, and Linkorange probably will. Is Linkorange going to go for the Quake Dash? Do you want to make a prediction before or after we see the result? The answer is yes. Bad menu down.
I think I'll make the prediction before.
And coming into Turtle Rock, the final crystal dungeon. This is one of the few times when we actually it's I think the only time that we do numbered dungeons in order back to back, going from 6 to 7 from Misery Mire to Turtle Rock. I believe they both do have their fairy. I think they both saw the heart drop from the fairy prize pack on the Hammer Bridge, but neither of them have seen the fairy yet.
Yeah, so the upcoming Hokoboku here, or Pokies, will be able to drop those fairies, and so we eagerly to see which one will drop it.
Yep, very, very high chance of getting that fairy drop, since it is the next one in the prize pack. The first thing that drops will drop a fairy with a 50% chance, and I think there's like 10 chances to get it. Not getting it at all would be extremely unlikely. There it is already. Next drop is a full magic, which is also very nice to get in this dungeon. Love that combination strat. I believe that's a Super Scudge strat, doing the Cane Beam then Cane Blast combination.
Yeah, that guy is definitely a legend in the community. Let's certainly check out a lot of his videos, especially the arc variable one, if you want to have a very, very fun lesson in pattern thingies. It is the technical term.
Indeed. Linkorange getting those extra arrows there. Now he'll have plenty for the rest of the run. And Wulfy did pick up that extra bomb. He did have an extra bomb coming out of Thieves Town that he got, I think, from a drop. So maybe this is just part of his standard bomb route. He wasn't really thinking about the extra. Wulfy going for the fancy strat there, which unfortunately didn't mess him up a little bit. So using the Fire Rod isn't a bad choice if that rune starts to go poorly, because it does give you the option to get that kill before you get bunnied, but he tried to manage it without the Fire Rod for a second, wasn't able to. Had some indecision, which cost him there.
Now we see Wulfy in the roller pin room. Very fun room, but if you mess up, less fun.
Oh yeah. So he heard some intentional damage, is a little scary, but he also does have his Fairy coming up. Unless we missed the drop earlier, but I don't think we did. Of course, if we did, I'd have no way of knowing, so...
Oh wow,
oh, man.
The best pattern in the room there.
That's what you like to see.
Yeah, think fast. And Wulfy does get his Fairy here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of...
Yeah, it's kind of a safe...
but...
Yeah. Ooh, and be careful. Oh, no.
It looks like he was trying to play it safe when he
taking a death whip there. Pretty sure that was intentional because he walked right into it. Yeah, it did look like he was trying to just do kind of a safe variation where you just kind of, instead of just committing to one action and hoping that things around you go right, you pay more attention to the things around you and then base your actions more on that. But he had, I think he was a little indecisive about where he wanted to go, and unfortunately that's what slowed him down a little too much and gave the Chomps the opportunity to attack him. Another bomb drop.
Another bomb jump. But yeah, it just seemed like, you know, you saw the chain jump on the right, but it could have gone over, and so maybe he's thinking a gamble on the left, and you know, just kind of, you know, do the block not overcommit, but
yeah,
just unfortunately missed opportunity.
Yeah. And coming through the second time after the chest is already open, you do not actually have to execute the room again. You just have to travel right through it. Meanwhile, Linkorange is coming up near Try Next. He had a good laser skip a second ago. Plenty of magic, but he uses his sword to kill the beetle instead of the Cane of Samaria, which is a little bit more common to see.
Switching to the Fire Rod early, so I'm not sure if we'll get backdoor. I predict.
Good kill in the first head. Gonna hope for a nice pattern on the second head. Yeah, very nice there. Maybe get a few extra hits there. Finish that off with only a single attack from the center head.
That's very good fight.
That positioning on the second phase there, right up in the top in the middle, makes the quick kill a lot easier in my opinion. Look how far away he is. Yeah, it's so comfortable to get that last hit.
Cozy, snug, comfortable kill.
Absolutely.
See Wulfy in the Pokepoku room here, and not as nice of a pattern, but certainly dealt with it very well regardless.
Yeah, having to do that death warp that he did, he was able to get the magic drop, or the full magic pot at the beginning of the dungeon. So he was already pretty comfortable on magic because of that, so the magic drop that he got from the prize pack wasn't as important.
Ooh, and it's good that he didn't overcommit there at all.
Yeah.
Just took a little bit of time in that room there, but got through without getting hit. 7 hearts, can afford to take a hit, but you obviously don't want to. Laser Bridge can be scary, but I'm sure I'll be fine. Making that Street Fire Laser Bridge early prediction.
Whoa, you're predicting something before it happened? That's a little unorthodox, but okay.
Well, I feel lucky after that cold stare prediction, so again here live on Speed Gaming 3.
Alright.
All the craziness.
Coming in on this laser skip. Linkorange is going to make his way into Ganon's tower, stopping his dash before triggering the cutscene, save a little lag time. And by golly, I think you were right about the laser skip.
Yeah, do you want to be 1 pixel away from the tower? I know that you want to cancel in order to mitigate lag frames, but do you have to actually be like perfectly 1 pixel away, or is it just simply canceling it as you activate it?
I don't think
being
it's
away
exactly
from
1 pixel, but I do think you want to actually be below it. I don't think you want to stop your dash and stay against the wall there. I think you definitely do want to go down next to 1 pixel.
I might have been thinking at least 1 pixel away then. but fair enough. At least in Pixel, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty recent tech find as far as tech goes in this game. Not having the sword out is one less sprite, and that can contribute, but apparently moving down a little bit also contributes to saving a little lag. Wulfy cleaning up his Trinex here. Didn't quite get the quick kill in the second phase, but had no trouble finishing it off anyway.
Definitely. Orange having a pretty good tower here. Definitely a very fun dungeon. It kind of throws a little bit of everything at you, and you get to go through a lot of different menus, a lot of different items, and a lot of different little bits of tech here.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I think Mike, the viewer, may be the one who probably tested that. Mike has done a lot of the most in-depth testing of different tech in the game, including things like the optimal position to pick up pendants and crystals. He's come up with a lot of very creative strats and variations, including a way to pick up the arrow chest, we like to call the bob chest and randomizer. Came up with a very fast way, which we're actually seeing Linkorange do now. I didn't actually expect him to do that. But
I love that strategy. So by grabbing that there, he will not need to grab the chest in the big queue room here.
Yeah.
Because you're getting the chest while the bomb is exploding, it really eats up a lot of that time, so it's definitely good to go for. Let's see Wulfy approaching the tower here now too.
Yep, he's going to be making his way there. He is a few minutes behind. That death in Turtle Rock is definitely a big contributor. But Linkorange has been playing very good so far today.
Just showing like a real good presence of mind, and again like little tech and strategies like that, you know, just showing that he's definitely done some work and he's definitely playing very clean and confident and just really experienced.
Absolutely. Doing these mimics rooms here now.
These are really fun rooms, but if they go bad, you're in for a bad time.
Yeah, they're very difficult to optimize. They're very technical, but the outcome is almost completely within your control. Actually, it should be completely within your control, as long as like nobody, you know, comes up behind you and like punches you while you're trying to do it or something. But nothing in the game is out of your control, really. So you have nobody to blame but yourself. You mess those up.
Or those individuals that have mystical powers over verbal communication devices. Or so I've heard.
Yeah. Coming in through the gauntlet is Linkorange now. Gonna kill all these enemies. I'm gonna do a nice backup there. Reuse the fire rod if one of them goes north. Didn't quite hit it. Unfortunately, that's making the room fall apart a little bit. Able to kill them all eventually. Yeah, these rooms, they can go very well, but sometimes when they start to go wrong a little bit, they can go very wrong. This last room on ice is the one that can probably go the most wrong if it starts to go wrong.
It can definitely get away from you, and just the way everything's lined up, the enemies can hide behind some of the environmental objects there.
Yeah. Got one cycle Lamolis from Linkorange.
Linkorange's magic count is looking good, so just heading up here using King Samaria, the room is designed for.
That's right.
The homeless are almost getting to Wulfy there too for both runners, but both of them are able to slip by. It's not a problem.
Yep. Another batch of whiz robes down. Like, it's kind of low on hearts. It's not really in a dangerous position yet, but he's definitely probably at a lower number than he would like to be at. There's a couple more hearts he can pick up before the end of this dungeon. Just enough magic. Wow. I mean, even if he had messed that up a little more, there would have been enough magic for him to recover, but at that point, it would have been very bad.
Pretty good torture. Shot that. Lots of magic to work with. He gets an early key.
Yeah. He's getting that key, which means he's not going to be getting the following room, the chest. He might still opt to get the heart. He will definitely get the magic. Yeah, he's going to get both. Wulfy doing, you see a little bit safer, a little more easy strats from him in the mimics room, and saving his hearts in the spike room by doing a safer strategy there. hopefully give him a little more comfort coming through this dungeon.
So, if Moldorm is exploding off screen, would that reduce lag? And then, if so, you know, obviously it's nice to use Moldorm as a visual cue, but would that actually save time there, having it off screen?
I don't think so, because Moldorm is really not a laggy explosion compared to like Helmasaur or something. But I don't think it really matters if it's being drawn off screen, because stuff off screen still is sometimes drawn if it's close to being on screen, and I don't think you can get him far enough off that it fully despawns in that regard. There is also a property that sprites can have in the ROM. We refer to it as persistence, which determines whether or not their logic is run if they're not on screen, like if they're in an adjacent room that's still loaded. And because Moldorm is placed in large rooms, he's not going to want to offload when he's off screen, so I'm going to guess that he is persistent.
Yeah, definitely. So Linkorange having a little bit of difficulty with Agatu in the beginning there, but thankfully on the very last phase it will fire all 3 Hadokens back into Agatu for a nice little triple.
Oh, Hadokens, that's what we should call them. We were asking earlier what we call those reflectable shots. That's a good name for them.
Hadoken?
Not sure what it is, but it sounds cool. Wulfy doing taking care of his batches of Wizrobes. Got through both of them nice and easy. I think with his key count, he must have gotten the one with a torch at the beginning, so he won't have to get one from the Helmasaurs or from the chest coming up. Linkorange starting Ganon, going to try to one cycle with a good Ice Armor, so we know that Ganon bats are going to be in the normalized pattern, which means that he'll be very comfortable dodging from the inside of the circle. Might seem like it's scary or more dangerous to dodge from the inside of the circle, but it's actually, it gives you more advantageous leverage relative to the path of the bat's flight, which means that you have to move shorter distances to be sure that you don't dodge them. So a lot of people do find it to be easier. Once practiced, I wouldn't recommend doing it randomly in a run if you practiced it before.
Yeah, for sure. Also looks cooler.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is the important thing.
It is very important. Looks like Linkorange got through all the first 3 phases fine and got the torch glitch, so 4th phase should go smoothly for him. He used the fire rod to light this torch most of the time, and then try to get 3 hits every time that he lights the torch against Ganon. If he has a small fall at Moldorm 2 here. Landing on spikes is a little insulting.
Link taking a hit from the fire bat there can be really scary, but he was not holding a direction, so he did not go in any direction, thankfully.
Yeah, that fire bat will kind of knock you back in the opposite direction you're trying to move. So if you try to move away from the pit to be safe, it's actually going to throw you into the pit and you're not safe.
Yeah, it's really funny. Kind of a bit of a newer player trap where they think, oh, there must be something wrong with the fight. It's like, no, this is kind of the way the game works, but your natural instincts are to go away from the pit. So, you know, it's just funny with the interaction there.
And Ganon exploding because for some reason he's made out of explosives.
Yeah, and Linkorange, I predict here, will finish in first place with a time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 18 seconds.
Oh man, and look at his timer. 1:27:13.69.
Dang, I got body in my prediction. Yeah, definitely GG's to him. We'll see if he wants to come in for an interview.
1:27 is very slow. His PP is a 1:26. He was within a minute of his PP there. That's always nice to do in any random, no reset run to be that close. Is very nice. Wulfy's going to be making his way into Ganon very soon here. 10 hearts going in means he has a lot of safety in that regard. And with a good fight here, he's going to finish up in under 90 minutes.
And it will be a good fight. That's my prediction.
Unfortunately, it's not entirely within his control. There is a little RNG that can affect whether or not it's a super fast fight or just a pretty fast fight.
Oh, I changed my prediction. No, I'm kidding. I have faith. Straight fire. Wulfy's got it. But he is in a very scary position.
Darn. This is another intentional death warp, just like we saw in Turtle Rock. Let's get a few more hearts and try again. Is that slash gonna hit? Oh, it did, nice. Thought he might have been a teeny bit too low for that second slash, but he was not. Alright, gonna get a 1-in-1 cycle this time. 12 hits plus 12 hits.
Yeah, thankfully he was able to get the extra hit in there. I do believe he whiffed one, but he is currently in a much better position than before. Takes another hit from the far back.
Oh, close!
Hello, Linkorange. We are watching our friend Wulfy here finish up, but GG's to you.
Yeah, I think Wulfy going into phase 4 very soon. I think we'll be able to win the fight this time. This position he's going to find himself in here with Gainer right next to you. It does look kind of scary, but it's actually really important that if you face north and you slash, you won't deflect off of him, but if you're facing south and you slash your sword, you will. And that's kind of scary because you're going to feel like you're going to fall off. And if you try really hard to stay on, then you might accidentally walk in again. So that's a cute thing that a lot of experienced winners know, is just face up and slash. You're totally fine.
Honestly, definitely has his rhythm here.
Yeah, he's looking good now.
My prediction was for this fight. I forgot to specify.
Oh, right. I didn't ask you if he was going to have a good first or second gaming fight.
This is true.
Cleaning it
And
up.
prediction correct. Wulfy finishing up Ganon. No glitch near the end. Looks good. 10-pointer. I'll finish in second place with a time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 50 seconds.
Yes, indeed.
So definitely GG's to him. I'll see if we can get him in here for an interview as well.
Yeah, it was a little rough at a few places there for Wulfy. Overall, I mean, it was pretty good. It was in Meyer, he had a little trouble going through the dungeon, which forced him to have a kind of a scary, vitreous fight. And then Turtle Rock, unfortunately, was where the first, I think, really big mistake happened, which caused him to have to death warp.
Yo,
But that,
Hello.
I can hear you right now, sorry.
Well, okay then.
Oh, this race, man.
GG's.
Thank you, but it was really, really scary all along the race. Wulfy was always really close to me, and I was so afraid of the death. Like, I almost died at Helmasaur. It was a really scary fight.
that was really scary.
We concluded that was all intentional though, and just viewer experience, making things very, very fun.
Yeah.
But definitely clutch that out. It's very good.
Yeah. But overall, I'm pretty happy about this run actually. Like, strong, solid points here and there, but also, well, some mistakes like in Misery Mire, I got hit in the Death Mountain and lost a lot of time searching for hearts in every bush in the darker part of Death Mountain.
Yeah, luckily you were able to get full hearts. I got to pick up the last one from a crab.
Yeah, I was really lucky on the drop, yeah.
Overall, it was very solid, though, I gotta say. A couple little mistakes, a little fall in Hera,
Yeah, the bumper skip.
little stuff like that, but 3 blue balls and overall, pretty good, yeah.
The dead rock after Hera
Oh,
made
yeah.
me lose 2 hearts.
That was rough.
Yeah.
But you recovered well. I mean, the dash strat backup that you did for the prize pack manipulation, Magnus
Yeah.
Tower.
Yeah, surprisingly,
That was
Aghanim
slick.
Tower went quite well. I was happy with my Aghanim Tower, and 3 blue balls. Recently, I had only 6 blue balls every run, so I was quite happy with that. It seems like Wulfy had a lot of blue balls.
I think it was 7 actually.
Wow. Yeah, it was 7.
Yeah, and speaking of Wulfy, GG's.
Yeah, good game.
So, how about them 7 blue balls, I guess?
Well, as soon as I saw that many blue balls, I figured it was over unless Linkorange died somewhere.
It almost happened. I don't know. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. It's your race.
I don't know if Wulfy, you saw the race while doing it.
I just took a look at it occasionally.
Yeah, me too. And I don't know if you saw my almost death at Helmazor. One heart.
No, I didn't see that.
He threw he spit a fireball at me, and I was 1 heart. I didn't know what to do, and I managed to pull through, but very scary.
Yeah, Helma can be scary sometimes.
But I bet you're not thinking about skipping the Sanctuary Heart on the next race, are you?
Wulfy skip the Sanctuary Heart?
No, I said you're probably not thinking that you're going to skip that on your next race.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not after that.
Yeah. Also, in the race yesterday, Zero Rush skipped it. I was surprised.
Yeah, some players are really brave, and some of them, they're surviving, and some of them maybe are making the wrong decision.
This was anyway, congrats, Wulfy, for your race.
And congrats to you for moving on.
Thank you. But yeah, it was not easy at all. I was very scared.
Your next opponent is going to be Solidus, Linkorange.
Yeah.
Do you know much about him?
He's an all-runner.
Yeah, very old. He was one of the first people ever to get a sub 130, I think, and hasn't been active for a while, but he recently came back to start doing randomizers, and in this tournament, I gotta say, when I saw him race, I was shocked that he actually looks like he's been practicing new stuff. And I think if Solidus is in shape, that might be a really tough race for you. I think your PB is better than his, but if he's trying hard, I think he can have a heck of a run.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all the more scared by him, but yeah. Actually, Wulfy was my first sub 130 PB opponent in this tournament. So, yeah, really.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping I could maybe get some runs closer to my PB in the tournament, but they're all pretty much plus 1 minute or more.
Yeah. What time did you finish? I couldn't see.
It was like 1:30, 40 something.
Okay.
But I did improve my PB in the process of practicing for this tournament, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Is speedrun.com still up to date with your PB? I saw 127.59. I don't know.
Yeah, that's up to date now.
Okay. Yeah, really, really good PB and really good level. Yeah, I'm still hot right now, like.
Nice.
That's scary.
Well, congratulations again. I'm supposed to be starting on this channel in just a couple minutes, so I think we're gonna have to close it out here now.
Yeah, that is most certainly correct. So I guess for my part, thank you both runners. That was a lot of fun to watch, and GG's to all. Thank you to my co-commentator Flash Toby Crackett. It was definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a fun one.
Yeah, thanks guys for commentating this race. It was pretty fun.
Whoa, you're a Scudge? Huh?
What?
Craziness.
Who told you?
What?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just want to say thank you to everyone. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to Speed Gaming for everything. Again, co-commentator, all the restreaming effort, and of course to the viewers. It wouldn't be fun to put on a show if no one's there. So it's definitely a complete group effort here. So for my part, I've been Gazelle. Thank you all, and bye.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody.